Commercials and jingles that stand out. Short and long-form documentaries crafted to international standards. Independent production spaces with full technical support. Special coverage for individual and corporate events. A special form of documentaries through our prestige package, Immortals, where we tell your story the way you'd love it. And business support services tailored for small enterprises. SOUQ News TV, powered by FemWatch Limited. Also home to the Isle 95.9 FM Lagos and Kasua 99.7 FM Kano. And Emirate News Television, Abuja, together forming Africa's trusted media powerhouse. Storytelling, coverage, and connection that matters. SOUQ News TV, your home for business, economy, and development. At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing, and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, monitoring, and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. Ready to make an impact? For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 439 2362. Visit us today at www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa. Human achievements, goal setting, hard work, and dedication have been proven to be some of the elements towards success. The journey of remarkable individuals with lasting impact on the world are often filled with manifold stories, but through determination, they build their lives and make extraordinary contributions. Join me on the story of a trailblazer in business and philanthropy, Aiboje Ig Mokwede, a lawyer turned banker who has done well for himself, made an indelible mark within the banking sector, and has continued in his ambition of touching lives within Nigeria and across Africa. Aiboje Ig Mokwede. Within the Nigerian business space and philanthropy, few names resonate and are respected profoundly. Such is Aiboje Ig Mokwede.
you're just watching, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel for more great documentaries. Like, share, and comment. Known as a successful business mogul, banker, investor, and a philanthropist who cares about making difference, Ige Mokwede's story is one of hard work, creativity, and a desire to drive positive change across Africa. Born to civil service parents on September 24, 1966 in Ibadan, Oyo State, Nigeria, he hails from Sabongida Ora, Edo State. Iboje spent his formative years with his parents in Lagos, where he had his primary education at St. Saviour's School. He enrolled into Federal Government College, Kaduna, and at age 16, he was admitted to study law at the University of Benin, where he graduated at a young age of 19 with a law degree, displaying early signs of his exceptional intellect and drive. Called to the Nigerian bar in 1987, he started his career in 1988 as a lawyer at Continental Merchant Bank during his National Youth Service Corps NYSC year. In 1991, he joined Guaranty Trust Bank PLC, GT Bank, where he rose to prominence as an executive director. His big moment came in 2002 when he led the acquisition of Access Bank, turning it from a small regional bank into a big player, a banking powerhouse in the industry. Throughout his career, Ige Mokwede has taken on different leadership roles, including Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Access Bank until December 2013. He later became President of the Nigerian Stock Exchange and retired in 2017, but remains on the National Council. Bowing out of Access Bank, he was given a befitting send-off.
No man or combination of men could transform what we met in Access Bank in 2002 into what would cause this type of people to come and celebrate today in office.
His foresight and managerial acumen have brought him chairmanship and directorial roles in prominent organizations such as African Finance Corporation, Associated Discount House Limited, Petrolon Energy, among others, thereby contributing greatly to their growth and sustainability. Hard work, they say, pays. Ige Mokwede's hard work earned him many awards and honors. He received the National Productivity Order of Merit Award in 2009, conferred with Commander of the Order of the Niger CON in 2011 by the then President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, during his administration for contributing to banking and finance. As a visionary leader, he was installed into the E&Y World Entrepreneurs Hall of Fame in 2011 as the EY West Africa Entrepreneur of the Year and named African Banker of the Year in 2013. These amounting to how much others values his leadership and ideas. He got honored by Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers of Nigeria. Beside his work, Ige Mokwede also gives back to society. This philanthropist is involved in efforts to improve governance and healthcare across Africa through his Ige Mokwede Foundation, making a positive impact on people's lives. He initiated the Adopt a Healthcare Facility program in 2019, and he is the chairman of ABC Health and Director of the Private Sector Health Alliance of Nigeria. He is the founder of Chairman of Coronation Capital Limited since 2015 and has contributed to the growth of the Coronation ecosystem. Coronation Capital Limited, with other arms of its businesses, also bettered Coronation Art Gallery in Lagos on the 13th of May 2022, a platform for showcasing exceptional works of art that embodied the essence of cultural significance and artistic expression. Igboje Ike Mokwede founded Coronation Art Gallery with the vision of democratizing art, foster appreciation and understanding for the artistic world, and making it accessible to a wider audience.
Bumi Augusto is, I knew Bumi when she was born. I know her parents, and I know all her siblings. She's a beautiful, wonderful, gifted Nigerian artist, and just like many of the others here. The piece behind me is a triptych, long throats, all up to longer throats. I actually thought that I was going to caption this collection. You know, this is really a microcosm of my entire collection, but I was going to capture it longer throats because this represents a lot of this collecting I did during COVID. Many of these pieces actually were not in Nigeria. I brought them home. I'll tell you something. I'm known for collecting masters, you know, the Enwonwus and the Yusuf Grillos and so on. I still do, okay? And I kind of stuck to that genre of classic. Those are the people who, when I was growing up, as I told you, those are the people who were my parents, either just older than them or contemporaries. So I grew up knowing these artists as my uncles, okay? So my first collecting was, you know, from works, you know, done by masters like that. After a while, you know, these works are really priced in. But Bumi Augusto, you know, her works, you know, which may appear even a bit pricey now, in 10 years' time, you know. So this is also hosted by Coronation, which are companies that are all about wealth creation. So there's also the investment angle. I don't collect for investments, but, you know, with all that these great Nigerian and African artists, the young ones, have been doing, and the way their prices have been rising, you know, I've got to focus on investments now.
Collaborated with the Nigerian Civil Service to digitalize work processes and public service delivery in October 2021. Recognizing 43 public servants at the 2022 Civil Service Award ceremony on behalf of the Ige Mokwede Foundation with an encouragement of cash prize worth 500,000 naira for each awardees.
It is my understanding that annually 43 public servants will be recognized in this fashion. And so, with effect from the 2022 Civil Service Awards ceremony, on behalf of the Ige Mokwede Foundation, we will be putting an endowment with effect from this award session, whereby each awardee receives a cash prize of 500,000 naira. And in the interest of digital culture, the credits will go directly to your accounts.
Among his many certifications, affiliations, and fellowships, Ige Mokwede holds Triumph MBA from the London School of Economics, New York University, and HEC Paris. He attended an executive management program at Harvard Business School in the year 2000, and he is a member of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, also appointed to the International Advisory Board of Oxford University's Blavatnik School of Government. Ige Mokwede is a honorary fellow of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria and had received an honorary doctorate of science from Olabisi Onabanjo University in 2018. Also honored by Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers of Nigeria last year in a groundbreaking ceremony.
If the operators of our markets, of a nation's capital markets, are properly resourced in terms of skill, capacity, and conduct, nothing can stop that nation and its citizens from leaving the tarmac and moving from third world to first world. Nothing can stop it. The correlation between the advancement of financial markets and the advancement of national economies is perfect. It's not almost, it is perfect. And so, you understand why I have tied myself to the future of this market and why I have tried from the very word go that my voice was heard to get the public sector and the elite within the private sector to understand that we cannot ignore this market.
Aiboje is the first African co-chairman of the Global Business Coalition on Health and chairman of the Friends of the Global Fund, Africa. The business mogul has made significant donations to the Global Fund. He is the vice chairman of the Global Citizen Nigeria and creator of the Nigerian Solidarity Support Fund. There is always a story, or say many stories, behind every success, and this Aig Imokwede has shared in a book called Leaving the Tarmac, Buying a Bank in Africa, Red Door 2020. In it, he talked about how he and others turned Access Bank into a major success, showing his determination and vision.
On a personal note, I think the first thing is that I left Access Bank. I retired as CEO in 2013, and I knew that I needed time off just to recharge my battery, so to speak. I didn't think I would have more than a year and a half before my perpetual motion character, kind of took over once again. And so I wanted to use that period as productively as possible. So I had a year and a half, and what better to do in a year and a half, than write a book. And for me, it was an opportunity, for posterity to tell the story to my children in a structured sense, because before then, I just hadn't had the opportunity to sit down with my kids and say, this is what I did today, or this is what I did yesterday, and these are the highs and the lows of this journey. Herbert and I went through a hell of an experience between 2002 and 2013, and for him, that experience has continued. We learned so much, we were exposed to so many things. We had really, really great mountains that we climbed. We scaled some pretty high heights and so on. In a sense, it would be very selfish of us to, lock this up in a box and not share it with others, because I think our experience, can be used by any other person who has an ambition to go out there and do, whatever it is they seek, whatever it is they dream about. And so the notion of writing for posterity and recording this period in my life, and probably more important, the notion of preparing a way for others, those are the things that drove me to write the book.
Aig Imokwede, former managing director of Access Bank Group, returns to lead Access Holdings, replacing Abubakar Jimo. His return after a decade aims to realize the shared vision of the late co-founder, Herbert Wigwe. Access Holdings PLC, trading under the Access Corp ticker on the Nigerian exchange, began to feel Aiboje's progressive impact as its stock value increased by 1.52% following his appointments as chairman. Aiboje Aig Imokwede is back again. Aig Imokwede is married to Ofovwe Aig Imokwede and has 4 children, namely Ohiozoje, Aima, Morenike, and Renown. He has been able to balance his family life with his professional achievements, setting an example as a leader and role model to many. He is an ordained minister of the Promised Land Ministry. In the annals of Nigerian business history, his story stands out, showcasing the power of vision, perseverance, and giving back to the community. From his humble beginnings,
Yeah, good morning and welcome to the news update on SOUQ News Television. I am Umivi Idolo. Airfares on Nigeria's domestic routes have more than doubled ahead of the Christmas season, driven by a surge in passenger demand and a shortage of available aircraft. Many travelers are now struggling to secure seats, with tickets for popular routes like Lagos to Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Enugu selling out days in advance. Some fares have jumped from around 50,000 to over 120,000. Industry experts say the annual December travel rush is further compounding the situation, with more Nigerians seeking to return home for the holidays. Travel agencies advise early booking, while passengers are urged to brace for possible delays and cancellations. The development adds to the broader inflationary pressures on consumers during Nigeria's peak festive season. Nigeria's power grid plunged further into crisis in October as 17 out of 23 grid-connected power plants operated below 50% of their installed capacity, worsening nationwide blackouts. This is according to the latest performance fact sheet released by the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission, which highlights deepening operational inefficiencies across the electricity supply chain. Several major power stations, including key-based load plants, delivered only a fraction of their potential output due to persistent gas supply constraints, worsening liquidity shortfalls, and systemic infrastructure challenges. Industry stakeholders say the situation signals an escalating financial crisis in the power sector, with generation companies, GenCos, unable to recover costs and gas suppliers reluctant to sustain delivery without payment. Experts warn that unless urgent reforms are implemented to address fierce supply, cost-reflective tariffs, and payment assurance mechanisms, Nigeria's electricity crisis could deepen further, undermining economic productivity and investor confidence. Small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, in Nigeria are losing millions in potential revenue due to slow and inconsistent responses to customer messages on WhatsApp and Instagram, Press One Africa has warned. The Techstars-backed cloud communications firm made this known in a statement on Tuesday, noting that social media platforms have become the primary marketplaces for many Nigerian businesses. It added that a failure to promptly respond to direct messages, DMs, is costing businesses dearly. Customers now judge an entire brand by how fast and clearly a DM is answered, the company said. A delayed message is often all it takes for a buyer to move to a competitor. Press One Africa called for more structured and efficient digital communication practices among Nigerian SMEs, stressing that effective customer engagement is now essential for survival and growth in the social commerce-driven markets. High logistics and energy costs are threatening Nigeria's push to boost local manufacturing under its Go Local industrialization agenda. Experts and manufacturers have warned. Despite government efforts to encourage domestic production and reduce import dependence, operators say poor infrastructure, unreliable electricity supply, and rising fuel prices are undermining competitiveness. Many manufacturers now face increased costs moving goods across the country due to insecurity, bad roads, and soaring diesel prices. Meanwhile, persistent power outages force reliance on generators, further eating into profit margins. According to the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, MAN, production costs have surged over the past year, pushing some firms to scale down operations or consider import as a cheaper alternative. Analysts warn that unless the government urgently tackles these structural issues, the Go Local drive may fail to deliver its promised benefits of jobs, industrial growth, and foreign exchange savings. The International Air Transport Association has criticized proposed amendments to the EU 261 passenger rights regulation, warning that the changes could worsen existing flaws and increase costs for both airlines and passengers. In a statement released Tuesday, the association said the European Parliament's proposed revisions fail to address travelers' real concerns and could further burden the aviation industry. The association urged that the current regulation is already problematic and has long been in need of balanced reform. It recalled that in June, European governments had proposed more pragmatic corrections aimed at maintaining connectivity while boosting the competitiveness of European carriers. The association urged lawmakers to revisit those recommendations instead of adopting measures it described as counterproductive. The industry body warned that ignoring expert advice could lead to higher ticket prices and reduce services quality across the continent's aviation sector. That's it on the news update. Thanks for watching. Please do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at SOUQ News TV. I am Umevi Idolo. Coming up shortly is SOUQ Business Landscape. To stay with us.
The Trump administration has once again thrust U.S. immigration policy into the global spotlight with the recent announcement of a new voluntary self-deportation program that offers a $1,000 stipend to undocumented immigrants who agree to leave the country on their own. This incentive-based strategy is a calculated shift from the traditional, more aggressive deportation measures and is already stirring debate among policymakers, immigration advocates, and the public alike. The program, introduced in early May 2025, is being implemented by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. It allows undocumented migrants to register for voluntary departure using the CBP-1 app, after which they will receive a government-funded flight and a $1,000 stipend upon confirmation of their exit. Homeland Security officials argue that this move is designed to save taxpayers significant amounts of money. According to data provided by the DHS, a forced deportation process costs the government an average of $17,121 per individual. In contrast, the stipend program is seen as a cost-effective alternative that also reduces the strain on overcrowded detention centers and court dockets. This new measure is a part of a broader, intensified effort by the Trump administration to curb illegal immigration and tighten control over the U.S. southern border. Since returning to power, President Trump has reinstated several policies from his first term, while introducing new ones aimed at deterring undocumented migrants. Deportation numbers have surged, with nearly 66,000 individuals removed from the U.S. within the first 100 days of his new term. Family detention centers, once heavily criticized for their impact on children, have been brought back into operation, while legal aid for unaccompanied minors have seen severe cuts. These developments come at a time when the United States is experiencing a historic high in its foreign-born population. As of 2023, nearly 47.8 million immigrants were residing in the U.S., with an estimated 11 million of them undocumented. Many of these individuals have lived in the country for over a decade, raising families and contributing to the economy. Immigrants, regardless of status, are a vital part of the U.S. labor force, contributing billions in taxes and significantly shaping industries such as agriculture, construction, and caregiving. Critics of the $1,000 self-deportation offer argue that the program may oversimplify the complex reasons behind undocumented migration. Many of those targeted by the program have deep roots in the U.S., including U.S.-born children, community ties, and long-term employment. Human rights organizations warn that such policies, while less aggressive on the surface, may pressure vulnerable individuals into making life-altering decisions without legal representation or full knowledge of their rights. There are also concerns about the ethical implications of offering monetary incentives for departure, particularly in cases involving asylum seekers or those fleeing violence. From a strategic standpoint, the administration insists that this approach is a practical way to reduce the migrant population without resorting to mass raids or extended detentions. Supporters say it offers dignity and a choice to undocumented migrants while protecting national interests. However, immigration experts question the actual effectiveness of the program, noting that similar efforts in the past have yielded limited results. The offer of $1,000 may not be enough to motivate individuals who have risked everything to seek better lives in the United States. The debate around this policy underscores the broader tensions within American immigration discourse, balancing border control and national sovereignty among humanitarian obligations and economic realities. With the 2026 midterm elections approaching, immigration remains one of the most polarizing and politically charged issues on the national agenda. In the wider global context, policies like this could set a precedent as other countries monitor the US approach, especially those in Europe and parts of Africa facing rising migration numbers. Questions around voluntary migration, incentives, and state-led deportation policies are likely to spark wider international debates. What remains clear is that the Trump administration's latest move is not just a domestic policy. It is a bold, controversial experiment in reshaping the global migration conversation. I am Moyosore Adibi for SOUQ News TV.
The bank was totally gone, so there was nothing to say they had. But we still approached them and said we would like to take over this bank. The journey since 1997 has been one thing or the other, and I'm happy that many years down the line we look back and we're happy that we're audacious and bold to make that move at the time. That's why today in UBA, perseverance, resilience is a core virtue, a core attribute, a core value of ours, because we apply that early on in this journey. So that's how it all started.
Leadership, according to some Peters, entails vision, enthusiasm, trust, verve, passion, and consistency. If there's one man who graciously combines these virtues, the name Tony Elumelu comes to mind.
They say that success to a large extent is dependent on being at the right place at the right time. I say to people, my elder brother, who is 7 years older than me, he doesn't have gray hair. I have gray hair. My gray hair started from the merger, because making it work, serving your customers, making sure that everyone in the universe of the institution, which was 428 branches at the time, that it was same level of service across board. Customers of Standard Trust Bank that were used to a certain level of service delivery, you will not want them to come to the new institution and have a drop.
From the womb of time, Tony Elumelu has been an embodiment of nobility and excellence. He remains one of the flying eagles and shining eggheads of the banking industry. The life and times of Tony is an inspiring tale. He is one Nigeria who is unmoved by material wealth and self-aggrandizement. Tony's noble qualities were on from his humble background. Growing up with 4 siblings in Jos Plateau State, the cowboy of the banking industry who hails from Anocha North local government area of Delta State, believed in the democratization of law combined with hard work. He began his career as a copier salesman. The Ambrose Ali University graduate of economics also bagged a master's degree in economics from the University of Lagos. In 2019, he received an honorary Doctor of Business degree from Bayero University, Kano.
Going to university, I just thought I wanted to be a businessman because my mom's brother, my mom and his brother were just 2 of them. So my uncle was a businessman, in Nigeria, and was quite successful at the time. And I was influenced. I thought he was very rich, and also I wanted to be a businessman, but not knowing whether just a businessman, you know what I mean? Because he was described then as a businessman. And but in the university, that was why I read economics, just to see. But in university, I got more enlightened because I knew more how things operated. And first degree, I was saying I just wanted a good job that would give me the start. But when I came to do my master's at Unilag, being in urban or Unilag, a lot happening at the time. And that was the era of new generation banks, a lot happening. Our friends, in banking, our friends, some got jobs in some banks. And so that's all of us who were doing masters at the time. I did masters in economics. Who were doing masters at the time, we just became interested and fascinated. We were interested in working in a bank. New generation bank, not old generation bank, not. And so that was how it all started. And we started applying for jobs in our banks. And I got, yes, at the master's level, it was clear I wanted to work in a bank. And yes, that was started. As in then, Santana was a posh guy. So they oppressed us in school, I must say. And then we too wanted to become the big boys in future with the brochures, suspenders, white shirt, dark suits, etc.
The growth and development of any institution is determined by the quality of its leadership. For Tony Elumelu, his sterling performance and leadership scorecard in the banking industry remains a reference point. He rose quickly to become the youngest bank branch manager at Allstate Trust Bank at the age of 36. He formed a coalition to acquire a distressed financial institution, Crystal Bank, and became its CEO, an action that earned him and his circle of peers the nickname the Cowboys of Banking.
In 1997, some of us came together and acquired a distressed financial institution. We acquired this financial institution, we turned it around, we set targets for ourselves, strategic plans, targets, the first year strategic intent, we want to make it a viable financial services company. Second tier intent, we want to become a leading financial services group on the continent. And third financial intent is a strategic intent to become a player in the global financial arena. As we all know, there's so much private global capital seeking the right investment destination. All it takes is for a leadership to show that this country is set for business and people come there. We want to move into an economy where they can invest freely as well as move their monies out when it comes for time for dividend and remittances and repatriation of a dividend. So I will continue to invest because of the signal that we see in the market, because of certain fundamentals that are right.
He audaciously led the largest merger in Africa between United Bank of Africa and Standard Trust Bank. Tony's fancy for red tie remains emblem of his appearance. He retired as CEO of United Bank for Africa in 2010. He is presently the chairman of Airs Holdings, the United Bank for Africa, Transcorp, and founder of the Tony Elumelu Foundation.
I can't express how excited I am in words to be here and to be selected among the 1,000.
It's the opportunity for me to realize my dreams. So I go into business and start to make my way.
It challenges you to do things you never thought you could do.
Maybe if you'd have gone to a private school or an MBA, you must have paid a lot to get this kind of, enlightenment.
Ça me fait plaisir de voir des frères et sœurs qui veulent se rencontrer, se connaître et partager et créer un réseau, peut-être le plus grand réseau africain.
Venho de Cabo Verde.
Je suis tunisien.
Je viens de la République du Bénin.
I'm from Edo State, Nigeria.
I'm from Ghana.
Zimbabwe.
Sudan.
From Rwanda.
Gabon. Uganda.
Senegal.
Niger. I'm from the Gambia.
Welcome and thank you for coming to Lagos. I'd like to start by congratulating all of you. You have done well. Most entrepreneurs are creative people. They have creative mindset. They're innovative. Those who dare to dream and who dare to innovate in Africa should have the opportunity to prove their innovation. And that is why we have $10,000 for these 10,000 Africans to help prove their concept and prepare them for bigger scale financial support. We don't give because we see it as a moral burden to just give charity. But we want to give people because we want to uplift them. We want them to be self-reliant. We want them to be fishermen. We want them to do what we are doing. We want them to prosper in life, become successful.
Tony made a tremendous contribution to giving back to the society. His selfless efforts and huge investment into humanity through the Tony Elumelu Foundation is widely admired as the leading philanthropy empowering a new generation of African entrepreneurs, driving poverty eradication, catalyzing job creation across all 54 African countries, and increasing women economic empowerment. Since the launch of the entrepreneurship program in 2015, the foundation has trained over 1.5 million young Africans on its digital hub. Tony, the Nigerian economist, entrepreneur, and philanthropist, holds the Nigerian National Honors, the Commander of the Order of Niger, CON, a member of the Order of the Federal Republic, MFR. He has been responsible for creating business that are critical to Africa's economic development. He is a proponent of Africa capitalism, an economic philosophy which advocates for the private sector's commitment to Africa's development through long-term investment in strategic sectors of the economy that drive economic prosperity and social wealth award. He was awarded the Daily Times the Nigerian Man of the Year in 2016. He was honored with the National Productivity Order of Merit Award in 2019. He is also on the list of Time magazine's 100 most influential people of 2020. On October 11, 2022, Elumelu received the National Honor of Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Tony, as a staunch professional and chairman of Foremost Bank, may understandably runs a busy daily schedule like that of a bee, but he balances the equation with creating time for sports. His love for lawn tennis and football stands undeniable.
My good workout favorite, I think I would say that I like to jump on the sport. I love yoga, as you said.
Yeah.
But these days I'm trying to get in the group of planking.
Tony is not just a champion in the banking hall. He equally balances the equation when it comes to family life.
For me, as a family man, though, I try to make sure I balance things. I try to make sure my family side is not so. In that process, I was also growing a family, having my kids and co. So, but everything came together.
Tony is happily married to Awele Vivian Elumelu, who is the chairperson of Having Medical Practice Limited. Vivian also oversees the healthcare investment of Airs Holdings. She holds a Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery degree from the University of Benin. The marriage was consummated in 1993 and blessed with 7 children. According to Forbes' list, Tony is among the top 10 richest entrepreneurs in Nigeria with a net worth estimated at $1 billion.
We don't just preach. We don't just theorize, we practice.
Tony has stooped to conquer not just in the banking industry, but in life. The strides of this living legend, popularly referred to as the Lion of Africa's financial industry, remains iconic.
So entrepreneurs who are listening, quick one, short one, straight to the point. Entrepreneurship is a long-term journey. Stop seeing it as a short-term goal. Long-term journey. Great companies, great and accomplished entrepreneurs did not make it in 1 year. They didn't make it in 3 years. It's a long-term journey. So move in, dare to dream, implement your dream, and stay focused.
For more than a century, Zambia has stood as a prominent figure in the mining sector, particularly renowned for its copper production, which remains a cornerstone of the nation's economy. Accounting for 3/4 of the country's export earnings, mining plays a pivotal role in Zambia's economic landscape. The focal point of this mining activity is the Copper Belt province, home to major copper mines like Lumwana and Konkola, alongside Sentinel in the northwestern province. These mines, operated by renowned international firms such as Barrick and Vendetta Resources, hold majority foreign ownership, with Zambia Consolidated Copper Mine Investment Holdings retaining minority stakes. Smaller mines in the Copper Belt region, backed by investors from countries like China, Brazil, and South Africa, contribute to Zambia's diversified mining landscape. However, the country's mining sector faces various challenges, hindering the potential growth trajectory. Fiscal policies introduced by the government, including royalty increases, the taxation policies, have negatively impacted mining profitability. Also, price volatility in global markets, infrastructural deficiencies like inadequate transportation networks, power shortages, and an uncertain regulatory environment further increases the sector's challenges. Moreover, labor disputes, safety concerns, and geopolitical risks stemming from political instability poses additional hurdles to Zambia's mining sector. To propel the nation towards its 3 million tons copper production goal, strategic measures are crucial, and these include leveraging digital technology through partnerships with AI and machine learning firms to enhance sector's efficiency and investment, stable policy framework in order to attract and retain investment, and provision of a conducive regulatory environment. Infrastructure strengthening supported by donor funding and concessional financing can also alleviate critical constraints such as transportation and power shortages. More so, environmental conservation is vital for sustainable development. Hence, mining companies must provide government-approved environmental management plans, prioritize durable equipment, and proper waste disposal techniques to minimize environmental degradation. Given copper's expected dominance in Zambia's exports, maintaining its position as Africa's economic hub demands a concerted effort. Israel Adeyemi, SOUQ News.
He said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If we say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff? Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is SOUQ Business Landscape.
Good morning and welcome to your regular breakfast show. This is SBL. We are live and reaching you from SOUQ News Television. So wherever you are, it's time to gather up. Those apps, if you're watching us from the phone or your TV, those beautiful smart televisions, gather up. Call up your friends, your neighbors, and tell them it's time for us to talk. It's SBL, and we look at stories, not just trending stories, stories that affect business development and also finance, money. We talk. So it doesn't matter where you are watching us from your country, how is it doing? Is business nice? Are policies going okay? We talk about them. Then for everyone out there, remember we are almost winding down the year, so businesses are checking their books and seeing if they made profit and better ways of getting the year done. So everybody has to play their part. So wherever you are, make sure the year ends on a very good note on our side, on your side. So hey, 2026 is coming and we have to work better and smarter. My name is SOUQ, John Rogers SOUQ. On today's program, we will talk about what's happening with the Christmas coming and businesses at the airport. Why do we have to pay more just because it's Christmas? This happens majorly in Nigeria too. So we'll get to talk about that. There are also issues that are arising from businesses in the oil sector. We'll talk about nations that are grappling with not just business in oil sector, but environmental issues too. We'll talk. Today, don't go anywhere. This is where you are meant to be. I'm here with the men I always say you should go into a fight with, and they say, no, we're not fighting. But today, they are here with me. I have the knight, and I have the fair one. Your Excellencies, please join me as I welcome. We pray. You're welcome to SBL.
Good morning, SOUQs. It's good to see your face again. And good morning to our viewers. I'm sure, like I just said, it's good to see his face again. We're here.
Your face didn't go far. Good night.
Good morning, SOUQs. Good morning, Oyipre. Good morning. I'm Olumide Shogun. So glad to be here. Let's talk business, economy, and development.
Okay. We need to cheer up no matter the sad news that we see happening around us. We cheer up. We'll talk some bits, and we won't go to Abuja. Don't worry, Wike is in charge there, but we'll go there. We won't go there. But it's all good. So today we will be telling you the airline prices and the surge that is just coming. Now, it's Christmas, and prices are heading almost 100% ahead of Christmas. Should this continue? Now, domestic routes have more than doubled ahead of Christmas season, driven by surge in passenger demand. Definitely, people are traveling, and shortage of available aircraft. That's always been the excuses. Now, many travelers are now struggling to secure seats with tickets for popular routes that's between Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Enugu, selling out in advance. Most people do buy in advance. Now, this has jumped, in some cases, over 50%, in some cases, over 100%. And in some cases, if you are lucky to even grab a ticket on the day of your travel, which most likely will not happen, 250%. So right now, if you are getting tickets for 90,000, 85,000, that's if you pre-book. And if you get to the airport, you're getting tickets for over 100, some 200 and something thousand. That means by come traveling period, you will be getting tickets as high as 350,000. 400,000, we saw that happen last year. These are things we really need to sit and talk about. The distance you're flying has not changed. The consumption of fuel for the flight has not changed. They are not giving you extra chicken or cow leg for you to fly. Neither are they giving you extra gift for you to fly. So how can we really mitigate some of these things? Industry experts say the annual December travel rush is further compounding the situation, with more Nigerians seeking to return home for the holiday. Travel agencies advise early booking, while passengers are urged to brace for possible delays and cancellations. The development adds to the broader inflationary pressure on consumers during Nigeria's peak festive season. Now, let's bring this back home. We are looking forward to a season where tourism will be a major earner in Nigeria. Now we have been blessed with a season during the end of the year, Christmas, a lot of festivities happen around the country, so people move around. So let's also see this as tourism. Why are we now having a case whereby that is when the aviation industry is cashing out? Well, should we not prepare for this as a normal chain of events through the year? I have a calendar for it.
In other climes, during the Yuletide season, you get discounts.
Fares go down.
Fares go down. Every other thing goes down. It's a season of celebration. It's supposed to be a season of love, which metamorphosed into what we now call Dirty December, whereby the diasporans come to Nigeria and come and have, a time of their life. And
for Lagos.
For Lagos and other parts of Lagos, because they don't all just converge in Lagos. Some go back to their villages.
Dirty December is Lagos.
They are Dirty December, but apart from Dirty December, some go to their villages. Build health centers, houses, community outreach, and all that. So if you look at it, businesses thrive during December because there's an influx of people coming in, and there are some that are going out. So they actually thrive. So I think one of the things that happens is some agents, traveling agents, what they do is they buy these tickets before December to resell at a higher price.
Okay.
So, and it has become, Chooks, even growing up, we buy clothes by October.
Okay.
You try them on by November, and you get to wear them by December. Why? Because people believe that by the time December comes, things just go up for no reason. It's a trend that we have sadly accepted, which shouldn't have been. So it has now cut across all sectors, all institutions. The aviation industry are cashing out everything. Now, there are other factors, of course, shortage of aircraft, operational, cost and all that. So what I would just like to advise now is the NCAA and the Federal Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. I think they need to partner and see how they can regulate these things, because it's not going to go down. Nigeria is the only place where things go down. Sadly, things go up. Sadly, it does not come down. So, I think it was last month I booked a flight from Lagos to Abuja, and it was about 200,000. It was lesser. I know the funniest thing is, when you go on some of these sites, you see something like 180,000. That's the flight ticket. But by the time you get to the end of the page where you're about to pay, you realize that they've added some other things that you don't even know how it came about, and you just see 202,000. So they add some other things. And by the time you are ready to pay, you'll be like, but I saw 80,000. 80,000 was what was offered. So why am I, so there's a whole lot of things that is going on that I think, we need to see why is it that things are always going up. Christmas should be a time that we should enjoy. We should celebrate. A lot of people are even trying to save for the next year, save for rent, save for school fees. So it's not even everybody that gets to enjoy. Most of the time, it's mainly the diasporans that come and really enjoy themselves because they are coming with hard currency. By the time it is changed to Naira, it's a festive season for them.
They are coming with the intention to holiday and party.
Yes.
Okay, now, Priye, let's get to the industry part of it. Let's get to the business part of it. People will say it's supply and demand, that there is more demand and there is less supply. But should that be what should push prices of tickets to well over 150% what it was before?
Yeah, okay. So before now, I know several times we have had a conversation on this table where we started looking at aviation fuel and how that became one of the determining factors, or what determines the price of tickets and that was not even during the festive season, where lots of domestic airline operators were crying out that aviation fuel had become very, very expensive. And if you look at another part of it, is that when aviation fuel became expensive, Dangote himself, when he came into the space, there was a time it came down briefly, then it spiked again. So when you look at it very well, and we made a calculation at that point in time, like 40% of the expense, the overhead expense of airlines goes to purchasing and accessing aviation fuel. And that is not good. 40% is a huge sum. So that has always been there. And we all know if we had put 1 + 1 together, that the festive season is going to go 3, if not 4 times that price, because they know the number of Nigerians that will become, as I'm talking to you, I'm aware of people who are coming into the country today from Canada and from Australia and from other parts of the world. They've already started coming in. And these airlines, I'm sure 3 months back, they had scheduled that, okay, this is where the price of flights is going to be. I know we are talking about domestic flight now, and I'm going towards the external flight. So it will also reflect in the domestic flight, and this is what we are having at the moment. Also, how many domestic airlines do we have? Do we have up to 50? No. Do we have up to 30? I doubt. I still have
on paper, yes.
Operating, we have less than 20.
You have far less than 20.
Then, if we have far less than 20, what do you think this festive season people will need to move around the country? How these less than 20 domestic airlines that fly around the country, this is the time for them to cash out. Olumide was talking about this is the festive season, we should be working with love in business. Talking to local investors
when you
here.
say cash out could also mean that they have a full flight on every trip. Does that not also reflect cashing out? Must cash out be doubling the fare?
Okay, fine. Sometimes they may not really have full flights. Sometimes they may not, and you could see the partnership between these airlines. I want, if I'm going to mention the experience I had coming from Abuja to Lagos, and the experience a friend of mine had coming from Lagos to Port Harcourt, and from Lagos to Abuja, and Lagos to Kano. In fact, even to, is it Kebbi State, or one of these northern states, there were stopovers. Because some of the airlines felt that, okay, we only have a few people who bought ticket for this trip, and who knows, this airline is also flying the same route we're flying, and they are going. So we had to partner with them, pay some amount of the money, bring the passengers on board that airline, but tell them that, you know what, they don't even tell you until the day you're going to take your flight. And they're telling you that, look, if you're going to Abuja, Kano, Port Harcourt, this is the flight. We are going to stop over here before we get here, then we'll get to Abuja. And you just discover that specific day. And you
have connecting flights.
And you have connecting flights, and you will fume, but you know what? You have to be there. So you have to, but if you're going to be late for your meeting, then you're already late. So this is how they operate. When I mean cash out in the sense that this is the festive season. So let's do what we have to do. Let's get what we have to get from these people. And it looks like in a seasonal way, this is the time for them to get back. But it's also not good, not putting into consideration the people. Well, for them, it is business. And they will say that putting the people into consideration does not reflect in airline maintenance, in maintaining the aircraft. Putting the people into consideration does not reflect in the price for which we're buying aviation fuel, Jet One.
Putting the people, why not say putting the customer?
Putting the customer. Okay, fine. Putting the customer into concern. It does not reflect in the price of Jet A1 fuel.
But if you take the customer out of the equation, then there is no industry.
The customer wants to fly because they have businesses to catch up with. So the customers are at the mercy of the airlines.
Is it that way? Should it be that way or should it be the other way?
Oh, it should be the other way when we have 50 domestic airlines actively flying, servicing 200 million people in the country. Then we can now begin to look at airfares dropping down to 35,000 naira.
Okay.
20,000. But you know what, Chooks? Even if we have 50 domestic airlines, if aviation fuel is still consuming 40% of the overhead cost of these airlines, are they going to come down?
Let me get this across to you before I get back to Lumide. Aviation fuel is aviation fuel taken as much as taxes on that ticket. Because if you buy your ticket and look at it, taxes are taking more money than the airlines, than the aviation fuel.
Okay, so indirectly you're referring to the government. the government. No, the government have a serious, responsible role to play. And to also understand that the aviation industry is not only capital intensive, it is very, very technical, and the kind of manpower you need to operate in that space doesn't come cheap, and it requires, very delicate hands to manage. If the government is going to come down on that, and that is also providing a way of the source for IGR to the government, then the government will need to really pay attention to try to balance taxing the aviation or the airlines, and also balance enabling people to make use of these services.
How do they balance that? How can we reduce the amount of tax on each ticket?
Okay.
I don't know if you once you pick up your ticket,
yes,
just
you see the
at
taxes. Yes,
it's tax. Before you even see the airline face, you now be wondering, did I come to this airport to pay tax? So how can we reduce that to be able to bring down the cost of the flight ticket?
The government will need to be intentional in reducing those taxes. Now, if the government is going to reduce that, the government will feel that it does not determine the price of the aviation airlines. On the part of the aviation airlines, part of the expense coming from either tax or Jet A1 fuel, or the maintenance cost, and of course salaries of personnel is also what determine the charges they are going to meet at. So it's a very, very delicate point, and they'll need both agencies, both the government and the industry stakeholders, leaders, to sit down and have a conversation.
Okay. While they are having that conversation, let's get this way. The aviation sector lost a lot of customers in the last 2-3 years because of cost of flying and what people were also earning. If you remember, not 4 or 5 years ago, you could get a ticket for 8,000 naira, 9,000 naira.
I booked a ticket from Lagos to Ibadan. I'm from Lagos to Abuja, 7,000. I booked it, I think, 3 weeks ahead.
Good. So, that particular initiative
was that 2 decades ago?
No, not long ago.
Not long ago.
4 or 5 years ago.
Yes.
That particular initiative brought a lot of people to patronize flights, flying instead of going by road. Gradually, those set of customers have been phased out, because on a regular, your flight ticket now on the average is 150,000, which is somebody's full salary. Some people don't even end up to that.
Twice the minimum wage.
Twice the minimum wage. Okay, now let's look from the airline side of it. They give instance where, let's say, they take a full flight to Port Harcourt, let's say 2 days to Christmas, or during that particular. But for them to come back from Port Harcourt, to fly from Port Harcourt back to Lagos, sometimes they fly empty, because that is where traffic is facing. So we have less people living where the excitement is, where home is, to come back to the commercial nerve center or the work side of it. So they full, empty. So should they be charging me
for that?
This is quite.
If they don't charge you, Chooks, what are they going to charge?
But I'm not sure whether you've heard this story about some flights doing stopovers within Nigeria. They pick from one particular state to drop.
Yes. It used to be very, very common between Calabar and Uyo.
Yes, I've seen videos of someone probably going from Abuja to Lagos and the branch probably somewhere around the east, and he's wondering, what am I doing in this state? I'm supposed to take a direct flight straight. I have an appointment. So these are some of the ways that these airlines are trying to
minimize cost.
Minimize cost. Then if you now look at the traffic, it picks up passengers, full plane, probably from Lagos to somewhere in Port Harcourt. Who are these people? Are they going there for business, or are they just going back home? That's one of the things we need to also look at, the influx of people they are taking to Port Harcourt. If the people they are taking to Port Harcourt are not going there to do business, you don't expect them to, come back with the same amount of passengers. It's now left to the people in Port Harcourt. What are they coming to Lagos to do? That was why Doctor said at a point that why are some of these governors building airports in a state where it's not commercially viable? Because if you are building an airport or something like that in a state that is not commercially viable, why are you doing it? Who are the customers? It's people who go there regularly for business that will fly those planes. And I don't know why I'm quoting Doctor this morning. Doctor said that it's the elite that fly, it's not the common man that fly. But that's not the case here. What I'm just basically saying is that some of these states...
And I say no to that.
I said no to that.
You said no to that. I also don't agree. But let's look at it. The people who are flying these planes are not the people earning minimum wage. They are business people. Most middle class or upper middle class.
But right now, it's the elite that fly.
Oh, well. Not just the elite.
For a ticket for 250,000 naira?
Not just the elite. You could have a business. For instance, now, I have something to attend there. I would have to go. And if the people inviting me are willing to pay my ticket.
They are paying for the fare, okay. Yes. Okay, it's the elite that pay for the fare.
Okay, but see, one other thing we need to consider is this is where we begin to look at how, because the ripple effect of having 4-5 domestic refineries is very, very crucial.
Okay.
Dangote is in now. Of course, he's going to be producing Jet A1 fuel.
He's
already producing that, and he's going to be selling to domestic airlines. That is going to save them forex from buying from foreign refineries.
Okay.
It's going to save them lots of forex. And if it's going to save them lots of forex, then it's going to also reflect in the price. If the other few refineries that we are looking up to coming up next year, if they equally comes up, then we'll also be looking at a competition at the side, which would in itself contribute to lowering the price, notwithstanding the forces of demand and supply. Because when you have lots of supply, demand is supposed to go down. I mean, the price for demand is supposed to shrink a little bit. And that is what we are going to be, that is one of the ripple effects that we'll be having. Also, the government, to make the Nigerian roads less congested, we need to put our focus on the different parts of transportation. Waterways, the train, not the one that we sent the Warri Itakpe rail parking for us to go and maintain and put it in shape. Then 3 days after it resumed, it derailed again. These are not this sort of news or stories, does not encourage investors to want to come into such a system. And that's what we must be looking at. If we have lots, like I said, people who are producing the Jet A1s, and we are using that, and the flight fare we're now saying, let's say 20,000, 15,000 naira, you can move from Lagos to Osun State or to some other states, then we could, even at December, we will not be looking at, if the price were to double, triple, it can't even get to 100,000 naira.
Okay.
So this, if the government is going to put ears down, and also we should not always look at the federal government in some cases, state governors also, we need to start giving attention to the real roads in their state, just the way Lagos State is doing. And we begin to see where, if some state governors cannot do that, they should look for a viable option for interstate transport, to set up a transportation department
to facilitate interstate movement.
Okay.
And if that can also be a source of IGR to those state governors. And of course, you're going to get good, comfortable. The thing is, Nigerians want comfort when they are doing business, most especially when the comfort comes in their movement and in their itinerary, moving from one place to the other. Just the way the BRT happened in Lagos State, and a lot of people rushed down there. People will leave the normal red the black and yellow commercial vehicles and stand in the queue for 1 hour waiting for the BRT, which service at the moment now is not 100% good. It's not even 75 or 65% good according to the taste of Lagosians, but it's still far better than what was on ground. So people defer to it. When you provide services that will cater to the convenience of people, Nigerians will move towards that direction because all they are looking out for is convenience. But don't provide that services if it is the government, then the government does not have to pay specific tax. If it is private individuals, they are now left in the hands of either one union or non-state actors. That is going to be a very, very grave disadvantage.
Okay, so I'm looking at an airfare ticket of one of the popular airlines here. It says from Lagos to Abuja on a Friday, it's 225,100 naira.
200, is it okay? Is it
one way?
One way.
One way.
One way.
Is it picking up immediately, or you're buying in advance?
Friday. I'm assuming I'm booking for Friday.
For Friday, which was 2 days ago.
2 days.
200 and something thousand.
225,100. Now here's the breakdown. Airfare 157,600. Fuel surcharge is 52,000. Taxes 12,500, and travel insurance 3,000 naira.
Airfare is how much?
Airfare is 157.
That's like 85% of the money.
Hold on. By the time you now pick that ticket, hard copy of that ticket, you now see within that airfare, you now see some other taxes there too.
No, because airfare is solitary belong to the airline. The airfare solitary belong to the airline.
Should belong to the airline.
Of course, it belongs to them because he mentioned tax too. Olumide, if you can read out the tax again, the tax there is even less than 60,000 naira.
Tax is 12,500.
It's even less than 20,000 naira. So if that is what the government is levying as tax, I don't think the government is doing too much.
We are not arguing on this. I'm just telling you that by the time you see the hard copy of
the ticket for airfare,
you will see more tax on it. This is for public consumption, for us to be on the good side. Now let's look at this. You spoke something about states having what's it called? Transport organizations and transport firms.
Yes.
We used to have that years back. Every state had one particular transport service that they were priding and pushing out there, and those from the states and outside the state were using them. I remember going to secondary school. Nigeria State had NSTA. Other states had the same thing too. Then we've moved, and we are seeing states that are coming up with airlines, partnering with private organizations.
Yes.
We have the Ibom Air.
Yeah.
We have the Enugu.
Enugu.
That just did this. And we're looking at ability of private companies that run aviation services to be able to acquire aircraft. That is one of their major issues. Now they have access to dry leasing. Some are following that route. But at the end of the day, these companies, these firms need to be profitable. But while they are being profitable, how much of a fleece is it going to be to the pocket of the consumer? If I have to cough out 200 and something thousand to fly to Abuja from Lagos on a Friday.
That means, first of all, you give and take. You're going and you're coming is almost 500,000.
Definitely.
It's almost 500,000. So I like to calculate it that way. Then you're going to get into a hotel.
The industry is not for the elite.
You're going to live in a hotel. You're going to stay in a hotel to do your business for a day or two, and then you will leave. So give or take, the lowest amount of money you're going to spend is between 800 and 1 million naira.
How is this business friendly?
Oh, it is not. It is not business friendly, and that is why. Let me make reference. From what administration? Okay, let's not even mention administration. From what time since 1999 did Lagos State start giving attention, like conscious, intentionally giving attention to road infrastructure. What was their plan? Probably at that time, they already had a plan. They are going to set up the BRT system. So they were giving attention to roads, to different areas in the state. So if the government is going to put its money in investing in its state, it's going to look at the kind of infrastructure that can sustain that investment, and at the same time, not only sustain the investment will be taking care of its own cost, paying the salaries of the staff, and also put the state in a different shape that is going to attract businesses to come there and do business. I said this earlier on. During the time when the Apapa port was over-congested and the containers were not moving, the trailers were lining on the road from the Apapa port down straight to Surulere, Ojuelegba itself, where you have the fire service, They were lining, I know what they kept to a part of the road. The trailers from Apapa down there, yes, they did not disrupt the movement of the movement of vehicles to and from Apapa to Maryland and to...
And that was Fashola's time.
Yes.
But they were causing traffic.
No, they didn't, because they maintained a part of the road. Because if you look at that Ikorodu axis, that road, that Alaka road, that administration expanded that road in such a way that trailers were parking at one side of the road, and it did not disrupt the smooth movement of traffic.
There was an order at that time that they would not move till, I think, 9 or 10 p.m.
They stayed for more than 6 months on that road, and it did not disrupt. Why? So other states should begin to take cue, because if you're going to develop your state as a state governor, and you have, or there's an economic blueprint for your state to move forward, then you begin to look at long-term infrastructure development. And when you look at long-term infrastructure development, the ripple effect will attract foreign direct investors. Can you
tie this
with what we are talking about?
To the aviation sector.
Now, the aviation sector, you mentioned Ibom Air. You mentioned Ibom Air. You also mentioned the Enugu Air that came into the system recently. What do you think that is going to do? It's going to expand the number of competitors, that the domestic airlines that fly that route. And if the number is going to increase, it's also going to influence the fare, because I want to provide better service than you as a competitor. I want to make myself attractive. And if that means, like Dangote, reducing the price, even to my own extent, or if I can see that this week I already have people who are booking that my plane is full and I'm going from Enugu to somewhere else. Okay, we are going to be refunding 10,000 naira each from this airfare. It's a strategy for you to move people towards your direction. We spoke about the number of students that fly that route, that should be using that, and of course they're not going to be paying 250,000 naira if that's the price. So it also depends on the investors to generate creative ways to create profit. But that does not come easy, given the mounting expenses that we currently have on ground.
Okay, there's this particular initiative that happened in India, just what we are facing right now. Flight tickets were very high. So like you said and doctor said, that flying was meant for elite, a class of people. So a set of young people came together and they were able to dry lease some aircraft and remodified it and brought down the fare.
Was it a Boeing plane?
Yes, so they had more seats, less load, less luggage. And now they were able to get the sector to let them fly to places that had a lot of passengers, but at the same time, they had faster routes. They go and they return. So that way, they kept profit up, but not as high as other aircraft. But they were able to service more people, and they brought down the fare significantly. We also have the same thing happening in the States. We have Spirit Airline. They do the same thing. They're not as expensive as, in quote. Should we not be exploring means of getting more people to fly at cheaper rates?
I think that's the goal, but that would be the goal of the private investor.
Should we not have our own national carrier? This could have been an initiative that could have been done.
Most times when people talk about national carrier, now national carrier as in what sense? Owned by the country, because we have flag carriers.
No, owned by the country.
Now, if we say national carrier and want it cheaper, are we looking at the country paying for the flight? I don't know if you understand. Are we looking at another rebate
this idea
that will be paid for by...
That was muted in India. We could replicate it in Nigeria.
Yeah, but that came from private sources. So those that play in that sector. We've seen several companies come up and say, come, we can offer you cheaper flight. But at the end of the day, it was just for starting up. We won't mention names, but you know those, some with green, some with stars. And they say, okay, don't worry, you can come fly with us for 50,000. It's just, by the time they started, on normal ground, it's still the same jet others were using. In some cases, we're even smaller aircraft. But you know that at the end of the day, the fares were all going to match up.
You know, the truth about it is, whether you give discount or not, it's still the same jet A14 you're going to buy for the same price. So, and of course, these airlines, they have to make their profit. I mean, it's a business. Someone put money into it and is expecting to make profit. So how do we meet them at the middle? In as much as we're looking at cheaper airfares, we also need to look at the investor. Who invested, who put in money, who has operational cost, who has overhead cost he has to fulfill, who has taxes to fulfill. Otherwise, his airline might be shut down. Okay. So we have to look at all those.
Let's tie this now. We have December. We are heading there. We have a lot of people, diaspora, non-diaspora, tourists all coming in. Now we are trying to say, okay, how do we grow the economy through tourism? Now we have several other locations that we can also explore if we take out the security issues.
Okay.
So let's don't go there yet. Now, can we have a plan, we Nigerians, government, private sector, can we have a plan whereby we can ask, okay, good and fine. January to March, first quarter, we are all heading to our Gungu. That's what's going to happen. March to the next quarter, we are all heading to Calabar. That's what's going to happen. So that all year round, the aviation sector is not just waiting for December. And businesses around is just knowing that there is major festivities happening all year round. That way we know that we're not just waiting for oil to get FX.
But these festivities or these festivals that you spoke about, there are things that are already there.
Yeah, a lot of them are dead.
Well, some of them are not.
On paper.
And they're still working. We talked about a few this year.
Yes, we did.
And they were very, very active. And whenever they came out to celebrate, it's a buzz. We've seen it. So that it will be the initiators, the managers of those festivals will be the one to sustain it. If the government is going to do that, to make sure that we have our own carrier, I think having our own carriers will be a good decision. But the government has not shown itself capable of managing that enterprise. And it is a very, very bad thing. Because if you have not shown yourself, then we look at Ethiopia, then we're looking at Kenya, and we are unable to do that because of what? Politics and personal interest. It doesn't say very well for us. We have the market. In this December, imagine we have domestic or national carriers, and we have fleet of aircraft. The Nigerians that will be coming in from the US, from the UK, you name it, from Germany, I mean from other African countries, into the country. Because we know that this is government operated, it's going to be run in a way that we are going to make profit. But this is the government who have some level of monopoly. We can beat down our price to a specific level and attract all the passengers in any festive season that are coming home or leaving home back to abroad between January, February, March to patronize the domestic airline, not only the national carriers. And when they do that, not only it becomes a huge source of resource for the government, but it also facilitates some form of confidence by the customers who will be using these, because we need to provide a service that is commensurate with what is obtainable by private airlines, but this one is nationally owned. But because we are taking advantage of the massive population, we beat down the price, not charging the same way that the foreign and commercial airlines will do. In that, I don't think it is aeronautical science.
It's not rocket science.
It's not rocket science. It's something we can do as a country. When we see that we can't do it, it begins to make people to have a second thought. Now, this is a government. You have all the brains. You have all the equipment. You have all the hands to do this. Why is it not going this direction?
Can I stop you there? Did the government tell you that they have all the brains?
I'm sure they do.
Okay. That is subjective.
Okay.
Olumide, one last word from you before we move ahead. Why do we have plane tickets, national, local, and international plane tickets from Nigeria more expensive than other countries? Why have we had that for a very long time? People now just go to Ghana and fly to Europe or fly to the US or fly to Canada. It's cheaper than flying directly from Nigeria.
Yeah, well, like I said earlier on, the NCAA and of course the FCCPC have to come in and find a lasting solution to this. The FCC can come in from the angle of the consumer, while the NCAA can come in from the angle of the airlines and see how they can, try as much as possible to see. Now, from what I read, I was even surprised that the amount for tax is even lower. So what I'm seeing here is 25% goes to aviation fuel, which is about 52,000 from the 225 that we calculated. So I think it has to do with more of the aviation fuel than the taxes. So how can we now reduce cost for airlines? But then again, reason why it could also be some form of diplomatic. I don't want to go that route, because you said it also, which I've also heard, that it's even cheaper to fly from Ghana, abroad than to fly from Nigeria. So people are now going to Ghana. People are even going to other countries to fly. Why? Is because it's cheaper. And you begin to wonder, is it that these international airlines deliberately do this to cash out, like you said, or what is going on? And even when we had our own local airline, we know what it took for him to, land in London. We know all the hurdles, everything. It was like the whole world was against him just because one man decided that, okay, I'm going to be flying Nigerians abroad. So I think it now has to do with it's a whole lot of things involved. That's why I said, then how strong is our diplomatic ties? Because these are some of the things that we should be also looking at.
Okay. To everyone out there, this is our word from the table. Dear government, support your own. If we come as one and support our flag carriers, just like, yes, we're seeing a lot of that happen right now. Other countries will take us serious. And competition coming from outside will not back down when they know fully well that they have some form of leverage in our own government more than our own people. The flight fares should, please we beg you, don't take it far above what we can pay. We'll go on a very short break, and when we return, SBL will be right back.
Take Nigeria, because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff? Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy, see something. This is SOUQ Business Landscape.
The rise and fall of Nigeria Airways is a story steeped in mismanagement and missed opportunities. Established in 1958, Nigeria Airways, the national carrier, initially soared as a symbol of national pride. However, a series of missteps led to its unfortunate demise. In 2008, financial mismanagement became its Achilles heel. The airline became bloated with an oversized workforce, hemorrhaging money on profitable routes, while neglecting crucial safety maintenance. These issues stemmed from a lack of transparency and accountability. The government, as the majority owner, failed to implement proper checks and balances, allowing mismanagement to foster. Weak regulatory oversight likely played a part as well, with instances of impounded aircraft due to unpaid debts and safety concerns raised by international bodies. Ultimately, the crippling debt burden proved unsurmountable, forcing Nigeria Airways to cease operations, leaving a void and a valuable lesson for the future. This lack of transparency and accountability isn't unique to state-owned airlines. Several privately owned airlines have also suffered the same fate. Effective corporate governance, including robust financial management and adherence to safety regulations, is essential for any airline to succeed. The broader lesson here is the critical role of corporate governance in the aviation industry. Effective management, robust financial strategies, supportive economic policies, and modern infrastructure are crucial for the growth and success of airlines. Addressing these challenges requires a concerted effort from both the government and the private sector to foster a conducive environment for aviation to thrive. Corporate governance is a multifaceted discipline that encompasses a wide range of processes, customs, policies, laws, and institutions that influence how a corporation is directed, administered, and controlled. The primary goal of corporate governance is to enhance economic efficiency with a strong focus on maximizing shareholders' welfare. Effective corporate governance has been linked to improved organizational performance, a fact supported by numerous studies. For airlines, factors such as board compositions, management practices, and regulating compliance significantly impact performance and operational efficiency and customer satisfaction are paramount. Robust corporate governance ensures that airlines operate transparently, ethically, and in alignment with both regulatory standards and stakeholder expectations. This is crucial for maintaining public trust, ensuring operational sustainability, and achieving long-term profitability. Across the Atlantic, one airline consistently ranks among the world's most profitable, Delta Airlines. What propels this country to such heights? The answer lies in its unwavering commitment to strong corporate governance. Delta's governance structure is robust, featuring a strong independent board of directors. This board comprises individuals with diverse backgrounds, skills, and experiences, ensuring a wide range of perspectives in decision-making processes. As of December 31, 2023, the board includes 10 independent directors and 2 non-independent members, one being the Chief Executive Officer and the other a nominee from the Airline Pilots Association. Diversity extends to gender, race, and ethnicity, with 1 out of 12 directors representing historically underrepresented groups. Key committees including audit, corporate governance, personnel and compensation, safety and security, and finance play critical roles in overseeing various aspects of operations and governance. By bridging the gap between Delta's global success and the realities of the Nigerian aviation industry, a thriving future can be achieved. For regulators, strengthening regulations in Nigeria's aviation industry involves implementing stricter enforceable measures to discourage irresponsible practices while protecting consumers, employees, and investors. This includes a thorough review of ownership structures by setting up minimum competency standards for owners, exploring diversified ownership models, and enforcing stringent disclosure requirements. Regular independent audits should be conducted, extending beyond mere compliance to identify areas for improvement in operational safety and sustainability practices, thereby fostering a more robust and reliable aviation sector. Bayo Olaoye, SOUQ News.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
He said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content, and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff.
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is SOUQ Business Landscape. Welcome back. This is SBL SOUQ Business Landscape. We went on a very short break. Well, that was a bit long. And we played you that particular documentary on the aviation industry. Remember, you are part of not just a conversation, but a movement. So, hey, go on our social media pages and follow us, like, and most importantly, share. Let's keep talking, even after the program. Now, let's talk about something that is a bit disturbing. It has to do with nationwide blackouts. 17 power plants are currently operating below half capacity amid grid distress. Now, Nigerian power grid plunged further into crisis in October. 17 out of 23 grid-connected power plants operated below 50% of their installed capacity. This worsened nationwide blackouts. This is according to latest performance fact sheets released by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, which highlights deepening operational inefficiencies across electricity supply chains. Several major power stations, including key baseload plants, delivered only a fraction of their potential output due to persistent gas supply constraints. That was one major one. Worsening liquidity shortfalls and systemic infrastructure challenges. Industry stakeholders say the situation signals an escalating financial crisis in the power sector, with generation companies unable to recover costs and gas suppliers reluctant to sustain delivery without payment. Experts warn that unless urgent reforms are implemented to address fuel supply, cost-reflective tariff, and payment assurance mechanisms, Nigeria's electricity crisis could deepen further, undermining economic productivity and investor confidence. Okay. This is not new to us.
Yes, it isn't.
But this particular trend is something that time after time we get to hear this. Okay, good and fine, gas suppliers to Gencos have not been paid. Okay, Gencos have gas, but they cannot generate to their capacity. Okay, they generate this amount and they can't transmit. At the end of the day, everything boils down to government. Government pays to this person. Government pays to that person. How are we going to come out of this quagmire?
Government should remove their hands from everything.
Not just distribution.
Not just distribution, everything. That's the only thing I see now. I mean, even not to digress, but even NNPC, everybody's saying government should sell these things. I mean, because it has been in the hands of certain individuals for so many years. And I keep on saying it, you cannot get a different result if you keep doing the same thing. So why not try a different method and let's see how it goes. I feel that if other players come in, the private sector comes in. Now, there's a difference if a private individual invests into something. You would not want to see that thing go down or moribund or whatever, because you have invested a whole lot of money. Not just your own personal
sometimes
money.
loans.
Loans. Sometimes you put it on the stock market. So you have multiple investors who are making decisions for you, who would hold you accountable of every penny you spend. So you will not want to see that go down. So there's a different mind, there's a different perspective. You are willing to hire and fire, not the other way around where some people are misbehaving and you just say, well, okay, just
35 years, you retire.
They will retire. So I feel until we come to that conclusion that this thing, now, some people are saying, let the Chinese, I don't buy that idea. Let's still, well, if the Chinese or if any other foreign interest are going to come in, let it be minimal, maybe 20% stake or 10% stake at best, 20% at best, but let it be industrial, let it be localized. Thank God we have some few people who have gas plants are waiting to be connected. Their Adeleke is waiting to be connected, and other people are coming into it. But it's not just to transmit; it's even to distribute. We are hovering around 3,000 to 5,000 megawatts when South Africa is doing, above that. a particular country in Africa shut down 5 plants because it was just too much. They already supplied, so there was nothing, to do. But we are still, and fine, I must even commend the discourse that if you notice, we've not had national grid shutdown for a while now. I don't know what they are doing, but whatever they are doing, they should continue doing. But from this report, it says that it's imminent for a grid collapse. So which means something has to be done. What is the problem? Some of these equipments are old. They need to be replaced. You can't keep using the same thing on and on. It needs to be replaced. And this discourse, they've come out to cry that federal government is owing us money. They have not paid. So how do you, so they are choked up. A particular state in the East is saying they want to reduce electricity tariff. And these people are like, we have not even recovered all the monies that people are owing us. You're saying you want to reduce. So it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot. In as much as I want to be empathetic to the average citizen, we also have to look at this discourse also, because they have put in a whole lot. Yes, it boils down to management, accountability, and all that. But there's another factor of people that do not even like to pay for electricity. But I will not even go there.
Okay. Why you decide not to go there, we appreciate you. Now let's come this way. The development of any nation is directly proportional to their ability to generate power. Directly proportional. True. Now, we've had this issue of epileptic power supply. Then we had issues of pricing. Then we have subsidy that we've had for a very long time. Then subsidy gone, subsidy not gone. Do you think government, just like he's suggesting government take their hand off, do you toe the same line?
I won't. I will not toe that line that government completely takes its hands off. I think government has done to an extent. Government has done not badly, but I want to mention what it has not done badly, allowing private and subnational participation in the value chain of power.
But right now, the electricity bill has been passed. It's getting to 2-3 years right now. And they said you can't generate.
Yes, that
you can transmit too.
That you can generate and transmit. So it's...
What is stopping them?
That's the same question I want to ask. The subnational government, what is stopping them? Why are they giving themselves out like they are so handicapped? Because most of them feel the highest, they are just going to spend 8 years in office, and after 8 years they are done and they will go. So they do not plan for some very, very key and critical long-term investment that will have positive ripple effect on industrialization of their specific state. And that is telling badly on the performance, economic-wise, and economic viable nature of most of the states in the country. If the government removes its hand completely, like Olumide is advising, Nigerians are going to cry. Now they are sighing. Then it's going to be open tears. Because not only will the private investors, yes, they are going to come and they are going to pump in money, but the fact that the regulatory muscle will now be relaxed to the barest minimum, where it will even lack the power to wield, to hold them strongly to account, most of who might even be acolytes of government, now makes it very, very worse, because they are going to tax Nigerians to pay through their nose. Now, okay, I know, chooks my ass, now they are equally paying through their nose, but at least it may not be as bad as when everything is left entirely for the private participation, or private organizations taking over it completely. What the government needs to do is to revive and to revamp the infrastructure in our energy space. If we are generating, if the people are critical that the government were only generating 5,000, 7,000 megawatt, and the government is coming out to say, oh, we are doing more than that. We are doing 12,000 megawatt. We are doing 15,000 megawatt. The thing is, there is the infrastructure to be able to distribute it to the
to the discos or to transmit it to the discos or for other relevant arms to equally distribute it to the populace is not there, then revive the infrastructure that can aid that. Because if you revive that infrastructure, then Nigerians will have access to the 15,000 or the 12,000 megawatts that you claim that we are generating. And for
we can't generate, or we are not generating that much.
We are not generating. Of course, even 15,000 megawatts is too insignificant for 200 million people in Nigeria. So let's even give it to them that we are doing that, and we are unable to transmit that to the general populace, which means that we are transmitting just between 5,000 and 7,000 megawatts. I know you are looking at me that we are doing less than that. Yes. Okay. So if that is the case, whatever is hindering us from doing that, that is the problem. Let's take care of it. Because if we're not taking care of it and we're only coming out to complain, then why are you there? Why are you there as a minister of power? Because why are you there?
Get the job done.
Get the job done. Okay. But if you can't even do that, and it looks as if it is more, if it's like you are not. These days we've gone beyond where you're just appointed as a minister. One of the things that facilitate your appointment as a minister is your network and the kind of relationship that you have with multinationals and your ability to bring in these multinationals to come and participate and play in key sectors that are going to bring light and aid the effort of the government's economic reforms. And if the government economic reforms towards power and you as a minister of power, you are unable to work in a way to consolidate that power of the efforts of the government to bring out the reform of the plan to reality, to cause it to materialize, then what are you adding to the government? Those are the kind of people that when cabinet shake-up comes, the president should not even take a look back by just getting them out, because you are not doing it. And I think it's also high time that state governors, since they now have the authority, they now have the institutional power for them to generate, for them to transmit, and to do all of that. It's high time they begin to have minister of power at the state level. That is going to see to the issue of power generation, power consumption in their states. Because leave it or take it, states now seem to have what would give birth to the economic reforms at the state level and industrialization.
Do they see it that way?
They have to see it that way. If they're not seeing it that way, then we begin to ask questions. What are they seeing?
Okay.
Now, okay, but, sorry, before you quickly move to Olumide, this governor of, the governor that wants to plant 500,000 acres of land for Lagos for rice, Niger State Governor. That specific project he talked about, you know very well the megawatts of power he said he wants to generate for that purpose, for the farming community, that is also going to have a ripple effect to service other parts of the community like health sector, like education and other government agencies. These are plans, and it's coming from what? Just from agriculture. Those are long-term plans. And if the issue of power is defeated, long-term plans for economic development, for industrialization, is also defeated. And if there is no stable power in any country, it will completely beat down the foreign direct investment that we are also playing, also chanting that we want them to come and participate in. It will defeat those investor confidence. And if it defeats investor confidence, we remain stagnant.
Okay.
All right, so I wanted to add this. I was looking for the information. I needed to clarify that. So Nigeria connected to the West African Power Grid Network earlier this month, which was supposed to, enable electricity trade, within West Africa, and, probably reduce the cost of electricity. So I hope this, because it says here that this has been ongoing, the test has been ongoing for a long time, and successfully they did this earlier this month. I think that was on the 8th of November. And, well, so let's see how that would also,
Are we selling or we're buying?
Both.
Okay.
But there are some African countries that are owing Nigeria hundreds of millions, tens of millions of dollars, because they've not paid their power bills to us as a nation. Could you please stop the cut of the power from them?
What about ones in Nigeria?
Because we need to service our local populace. Could you please cut it off?
What about the ones
so we can service our local populace? Because I don't think we have enough. We are supplying.
What about the ones that are owing in Nigeria?
Ministries are also owing.
The government ministries are owing. We know how to tackle that issue. It is lack of political, economic, and administrative will coming from the chief executives that are not tackling this will. Look, December is here. The federal government has not brought budget for the country. What's the reason why? Because they said it's stolen capital project because 2024 budget is running concurrently with 2025 budget, and that has become an hindrance, and the government needs to look at one tooth. That's not a problem. Those ministries that are owing, this is your budget, right? They will have the palm sex and the ministers come to the Senate Committee of Budget to come and defend their budget. No problem. This is what we are giving you for power. You are owing. We are not giving you that money. We are paying it directly to the power generating companies or the transmission companies. We are not going to give you this. If the government does not do that, then the government is...
Why did the government disconnect themselves when they were owing?
You said?
Why did the government disconnect themselves when they were owing? SOUQ was owing. You remember?
Oh, of course. There is a budget for SOUQ to run.
So why
there is a budget for SOUQ clinic to run, let alone the supplying power.
The questions we should not start asking.
So who are the administrators of those places that are supposed to advance the money to the power holding, to the power companies? If you are not doing that, you're the chief executive.
Who should we be holding accountable for all this? Because it's someone's responsibility to, just like you said,
who's the administrator?
This particular amount.
For those ministry departments and agencies.
At those points.
The ministers. The ministers, right? Then you have the palm set.
Okay.
You're accountable. If you have not paid for that year, why have you not paid? How many percent of the ministry budget did we even release as a government to that ministry? Let's even start there. Let's assume we release about 75%. How much are you supposed to even pay for power? You're supposed to pay like 7 billion for power. Let's assume it is, or 500 million naira for power, and you did not. No problem. 2026 budget, we are going to remove, that's 500, we are going to remove 350 million naira to pay for power. And next year, we are going to remove the same thing. Or better still.
If I may comment.
Because if you do not do that, then you are part of the problem.
A particular security arm was owing. It was
the Nigerian Air Force.
It was disconnected, and we saw what happened.
Yes.
Was anybody held accountable?
Okay. So
who is supposed to hold them accountable?
So this boils down to the level of lawlessness in the system. Is that what we are going to?
No, I will not call it lawlessness. I will not call it lawlessness. What I'm going to call it is doing your job. On the part of the Nigerian Air Force, of course, the highest military officer within that institution should hold responsible whoever gave that order.
For his officers to get to...
Because they were sending his officers to go and do that. Okay. You should hold them accountable, and in fact, if possible, have them face disciplinary committee within the military. Because you are not supposed to do that. Okay. Then, so where does the budget go to for the Nigerian Air Force, and who is responsible for paying expending the money for the Nigerian Air Force? That's as the case may be in this specific case. If it's the one and the budget was advanced to you, you need to come give account. If you're not, the next time the budget is coming, we're going to remove that money and pay the bills ourselves. Do that.
That's why I'm talking about accountability. That's why I said accountability. Because before you even approve the next budget, review the former budget. What happened? How was this money spent? This was supposed to go to electricity. Was it paid? You call, find out, do your due diligence. So that before you pass or approve the next budget for the military or the Air Force or whatever, you have cleared that one.
You've closed the last budget.
How do you even review budget performance within these ministries when you, as the government, did not give them 100% of the budget that you're supposed to give them for the year?
But your audit, the one that was given to you.
50%?
Audit.
What would that do? Okay, well, it's fine. It's not, you can't excuse that from being audited.
Anyways. Okay. Yes, let's go to our next story. Our next story, power. When it comes to power in Nigeria, when it comes to electricity in Nigeria, is always a very, very touching point. Now, for those that are wondering, we have a lot a lot to learn and follow on the issues of small businesses in Nigeria and the way they deal with customers, and that is affecting several things. There's been a major decline in monies being made by SMEs, majorly because of the way they interact with customers. Now, people are of the major opinion that I'm trying to connect with a small business. I send a message and I don't get a reply. So that communication between small businesses, it could even be big businesses too. That communication between small business and the customer is always missing. And in the long run, is accounting for a lot of monies that small businesses are losing. So have you had that experience before where you try reaching any of the services or products you patronize and you didn't get any form of response?
I guess, go ahead, please.
Okay, so first of all, I want to, before I come to the small business, I want to even make a reference to the pension administrators. I was working in a specific organization somewhere where they were paying my pension because the pension administrators came there, took and marketed their product to us, and of course we gave them the detail. That's when I started having a pension account. And they paid a few months in there, and I left that organization. And they stopped paying my pension. And these people didn't even ask. We stopped receiving from you. What's the problem? Do you work there? Have you moved to another organization? How can we come in so we can? And they didn't raise eyebrow. No communication, no nothing, no email.
But they have some payment from you already.
Yes.
Okay.
So when I was admitted into the next organization where I found myself to work, they were telling us that, these organizations, some PFAs go to them that whoever uses it, could you please, they have some form of agreement that your staff can use our PFAs. It's not on that compulsion. If you want to stay as a staff on your own previous PFA, pension fund administrators, you can stay there. That if you like the way the new ones are selling their products to you, you can change from PFA A to PFA B. So they came to me, I willingly said, okay, I will change. I went, they said, okay, you need to go back to your previous PFAs and tell them this, that, and the other, and tell them why you are changing. Go. I went there. And they said, why are you changing? That was when they are trying to market me. I said, you people are doing us a disservice. For how many months I left that organization, no email, no communication as to why did you stop receiving pensions from me. And now you're trying to make me see a reason why I should stay. I can't stay with you because you don't talk to me. I came out a little bit harsh, and I told them, no, I'm leaving. And I went to these new ones.
Okay.
Yes. So that is part, I think that answered your question. So they need to stay in touch. However, these businesses that we are talking about, they need to be businesses that have presence digitally, that they have digital social media.
In 2025.
Oh, some don't. If some local government, if your local government don't have chooks, why would some businesses
SMS. As simple as SMS will work. Go ahead.
All right, so short messaging service. Before our advent of DMs, there was customer care. And every company took it serious. Why? Because they wanted a situation whereby, after buying a product, or even before you buy a product, you can make some certain inquiries. That's why customer service is there. You call, they pick up your call, they answer all your questions at any given time. Not what we have today. At any given time, they call. You can even query. You can do so many things. You can make inquiries. You can book. That's why customer service. But now, with the advent of social media and all that, we have direct message, whereby you can directly send message and expect. And most people, most potential buyers, they judge a whole brand by the time, the wait time.
Your response time.
Your response time. So, for instance, now I see a shoe that I like, and I want to get it. I like this shoe, or I like this suit. And it's stated there, DM, and I send a message. I'm expecting in the next, give or take, 10 minutes. Some people don't have that patience. Some people, it's just a minute. 10 minutes, I get a response. But I'm getting a response a day after, when I've probably gone to another vendor. So these are some of the things that, they need to take serious. once you establish a direct message platform, you should have a separate phone. Or better still, hire someone. That's why social media influencers and the rest of them, that's their place. Hire someone who to manage that thing, who has that phone 24. I remember when I was even working in a customer service, you had a personal phone where we received direct message, and someone was given that, duty. You take the phone home, you reply messages. And there's even another place that if the message is not replied, you can actually call to report that. Okay. So it all depends on how well you're taking your business serious. Do you really want to make profit? If you really want to make profit, you will take every message really serious.
There have been cases where I called, there was no response. I chatted, they used AI to respond to me. And the AI kept repeating.
Same thing.
And I sent a message.
That is not relevant to what you are
And I went to the email and I sent an email to the customer service. I said, we've been having this conversation and you sent AI to respond to me. This is very bad. It's not how you do business. Please, can you kindly respond personally to my message so we can, and we are going to contract this organization for monies, for services that are running to tens and hundreds of thousands of naira. And you are telling AI to respond to me. Day 1, day 2, day 3.
You seek another solution. Now, for business owners out there, always know this: the customer wants to spend, and if it's your business, you can't afford to lose out. This is one particular compilation that is affecting we on this side of the divide, so we should take it seriously and stop losing out on this monies. Now, let's get to our next story for today, and that has to do with logistics. Local production drive logistics. Now, energy cost stalls Nigeria's go local ambition. High logistics and energy cost is threatening Nigeria's push to boost local manufacturing. Under its go local industrialization agenda, experts are saying that manufacturers have warned, despite government efforts to encourage domestic production and reduce import dependence, operators say poor infrastructure, unreliable electricity supply, and rising fuel prices are undermining competitiveness. Okay, good. We were talking about generation, distribution, transmission, and distribution. Now we are getting down to the nitty-gritty of it. The people that drive the economy is production. Now, production is shouting that, hey, we don't have this power. A lot of the production, manufacturing production industries we have here, a lot of them generate their own power with generators that cost a whole lot. And at the end of the day, all the price and all the expense is put at the cost of the product for the consumer. How can this same product or these services compete with the one that is coming in cheaper from outside the country? Then how do we drive this by Nigeria when our service and product is going to be more expensive than their competitor from outside this country?
It's quite interesting. I've given certain different stories, but I remember this one in my former organization where I worked. The first month, they brought a bill of about 1 million naira. It was for electricity bill, 1 million naira. So I remember the HR went from departments to say that, okay, you have to now start putting off your AC, that if you have in a department where you have maybe like 2 ACs, only 1 AC should run in each offices. And whereby there's nobody in that office, put off your air conditioning. And that was how we were doing. So most of the time, at some point, some offices...
Was it estimated billing or... Yeah. Estimated billing?
Estimated billing. So at a point, some offices stopped putting on their air conditions. And the next month, the bill came in was around 600. So when I said, okay, fine, let's go this route. I remember also when I went to a particular place to dry clean my clothes, and they told me it was 1,007. And they told me why. I said, we are on band A.
I don't understand. 1,007
per shirt. One shirt, 1,700 naira. 1,000 to wash, 700 to iron. Because I said, what if I I have a washing machine. I just need to iron my. They said it's 700 naira per share. And I said, why now? I said, we're on band A. And I was shocked. Now, the other day, someone was telling me she wanted to go into a business. And I advised her that, first of all, get a power plant, not just the regular 4 or 5 kVA gen. Get a power plant if you really want. If you really want to take this business, because we are relying on power. First of all, we are talking band A, and which we have to pay more. I am on band A, and I know what I go through most of the time. I'm always really these days I get really agitated when an appliance is on for no reason. I practically put off everything except the refrigerator and sometimes the air conditioner. Those are the two things I cannot. I have tried to cut costs. So you cannot imagine for someone who owns a business, an office of like 4 or 5 offices, and they need air condition in that place. For those who have air conditions. For those who don't have air conditions, the salons. These days, I remember the barbing salon where I went. Normally to cut your hair was 1,000. Then he increased it to 2,000. Then he now said, okay, so what he said was that if there's no power, you pay 2,000. If there's power, you pay 1,500. So I now advised him that, look, if you are going to increase, start with 1,500. Because if you say if there's no power, people will rather wait till when there's power to come and cut their hair for 1,500. At the end of the day, you lose. It's only those who have the luxury of, saying, okay, I don't have, let me just pay. So start with 1,500, flat rate, whether there's power or not. Start with that. I understand that the business is getting really expensive and you need to, cover some certain costs. So I advised him that, okay, let's start with 1,500. That is just for a barbing salon. Do you understand? And he is also on band A. He told me point blank that I'm on band A. These people want to choke me.
Band A issues. Okay, now let's leave the power issue and come to logistics. We've seen a major competitor outside Nigeria, Alibaba to be precise. When he has a collage of manufacturers that patronize him, and unlike before, they just ship to your country. But right now, what we are seeing is Alibaba sources for you. Alibaba pays for you via your bank app. Alibaba imports into your country. Alibaba delivers to your doorstep. Alibaba can also sell for you and deliver to your customer. Has that not taken jobs away from African entrepreneurs?
Well, I would see it can be interpreted that way. But it can also be interpreted in a way that you have a very, very strong competitor. Now, in that specific sense, for the government to regulate a system like that is to find a way to tax Alibaba. Because if the government is telling you now that Nigerians that work and earn a living remotely are going to be paying tax, and if you say you're going to do that, and you're going to start taxing them come 2026, then Alibaba should be taxed. But the thing is, Alibaba will put the burden of that tax on its customers in Nigeria.
Okay, then for manufacturers within Nigeria that now have Alibaba.
Oh, copy is model. Copy is model.
Okay, now do we have access to the infrastructure that he has over there?
Okay, fine. We may not have the infrastructure that he has, but use his model.
But he's producing cheaper. So how do we use his model?
He's producing
his
cheaper.
His manufacturer or every other person that is within his own space.
Yes.
That are producing while he does the other bit of the service. Are all producing with a lot of government incentives and cheaper.
Government incentives.
Yes. So how do we on this side compete?
Then that's the only way to go, because there are sometimes competition comes at a cost, and that is why it is competition. Because sometimes your competitors are not your size. They are 10 times bigger than your size. And if they are 10 times bigger than your size, then you have to look at the populace and the clients and the customers you service and pick those within your strata that you can easily reach. Yes, and leave those within that specific space for the bigger competitor. And you know what? Then the government can tax that competitor, most especially when it's a foreign competitor and it's coming, oh, tax them, please.
Okay, one last sentence before we leave. Nationalism and price. Do you think, out of my pride as a Nigerian, I'll pay more for a product? Do you think Nigerians can go for that?
Well, see, we've got to the place, I don't know, I've been thinking of that way long time before that. I don't know why. Maybe because I was influenced by that word, nationalism, and a bit of it that I did in just reading while studying government. We need to do that. And I don't want to go to the telecom sector where Nigerians to a specific level exhibited nationalism. You understand what I mean? Mm-hmm. When we saw the green in telecommunications. And there was a time, I think was it the owner or one of the promoters came up and said, look, the yellow doesn't belong to us. The red, you know, there's a dilemma concerning the red. But you see this green and white is ours. It's owned by one of us. For nothing, even if you own the yellow and the red, could you also buy the green? So you own the green. There's nothing wrong. In Nigeria, you can have 3 lines. You can have 4 if you want. So own the green, use it. And you could see that was when competition really set in and we start seeing some level of moderation in there. So in every area of our economy, most especially in the area where we see foreign countries or foreign multinationals playing in that space, and we also have domestic companies and organizations playing in that space. The domestic organization must be competitive. Don't render quirk services or sell products that are substandard. The same level, the same standard, if not more. But just know, make it, when you're doing your adverts, also try to chip in that nationalism aspect of it. That look, yes, we want to be competitive and all of that, but don't forget that you owe us one response. You owe at least Nigeria, your country, one thing, that we must promote nationalism in our economic life. And it's because of this support that you give to this organization, and with the massive population that we have, we are going to also play our role.
Okay.
In that.
Do you want to chip in on this nationalism?
Well, nationalism is a good one, but it's not just price alone. It's also quality. Nigerians want quality. I patronize locally made shoes. And the reason why is because the person making it imports the leather. Well, he doesn't.
But we have better leather.
We have better leather. Yes, but according to him, the one he imports lasts longer. So he makes it in Nigeria. He imports it and makes it in Nigeria. But I don't know, but that was years back. I don't know about now. Maybe he has had a change of mind. But it's just quality, not just... And until we get to that level, we're doing quality control, then we can now talk about, nationalism.
Okay. We will talk about nationalism now. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll keep talking about it. And to everyone out there, remember, we always say here, nobody is more Nigerian than you. And we have to grow this nation together, starting from your own point, your family, your business. Then, hey, we'll come out and do our best. Thank you very much for being part of SBL today. We'll do this again tomorrow. But before then, love yourself and love your neighbor too. My name is Chooks, John Rogers Chooks. Thank you very much.
And I'm Oyin Priya Kurumale. Good morning to you.
And I'm Olumide Shokwaya. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff? Within this side, let's also learn citizens. See something. This is SOUQ Business Landscape.
My name is Shino Ogbadegeshin. I'm the CEO Gozi Micro Insurance. Continue to watch SOUQ News.
Adenike Adeyemi, Executive Director of Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
My name is Shepherd Michael Adewale Onofuye. I enjoy you all to always watch SOUQ News TV.
Hey everyone, Majuli Obaje here representing Gigi. Keep watching SOUQ News, okay? Stay updated with SOUQ News.
My name is Aton Keme. I am the head of MSME Banking. Please keep watching SOUQ News and stay glued to SOUQ News.
I recommend that
more and more people should watch SOUQ News because they deal with business news.
Hi, my name is Amaka Wokolo. I am the director of the Faith Institute at Faith Foundation. Keep watching SOUQ News.
The Seychelles, a stunning group of islands in the Indian Ocean, has become a distinctive figure on the African continent due to its expertise in marine tourism. It may be the smallest country in Africa in terms of population, with just over 100,000 inhabitants. But economically, it is considerably more powerful than its size, and its most valuable resource is the sea. The Seychelles' economy is centered on its coastline and pristine oceans, much like many other countries that mostly depend on natural resources like minerals or oil. Tourism that is high value and low impact is vital to the nation's economy. Luxurious eco-resorts and unspoiled natural reserves that characterize the Seychelles experience attract tourists from all over the world. This type of tourism supports jobs in the hotel, transportation, fishing, and conservation industries, in addition to generating foreign cash. Seychelles' stringent environmental regulations are one notable strategy. The nation boasts of one of the largest percentages of protected marine areas in the world, with over 30% of its seas classified as such. In addition to protecting marine habitats, this keeps tourism viable and attracts eco-aware tourists and foreign partners. Seychelles has also adopted blue economy practices, using the ocean to spur innovation in marine research, sustainable fishing, and renewable ocean energy. Through these initiatives, Seychelles is positioned not just as a tropical retreat, but also as an example of how tiny countries may prosper by protecting and enhancing their natural environment. Seychelles has been a continental leader in the blue economy idea, which uses ocean resources responsibly to boost economic growth in addition to pleasure. By issuing a blue bond in 2018, it raised $15 million to finance sustainable fisheries and marine initiatives, making it the first nation in the world to do so. Additionally, the nation has set aside almost 400,000 square kilometers of its oceanic territory, roughly 30% of its exclusive economic zone, for regulated usage and conservation. In addition to protecting the Seychelles' beautiful waterways, these programs help the country's standing as a climate-conscious travel destination worldwide. By doing this, Seychelles has shown that preservation of the environment and economic growth do not have to conflict. On the contrary, they may support one another when handled with care and foresight. I'm Moyosore Adebi, and this is just Africa.
The Global Leadership Conclave Lagos has brought together policymakers, business leaders, development experts, and young innovators under one roof, all united by a common vision, transforming leadership ideals into practical action for sustainable development. Organized by the Global Lives Transformers Network in partnership with the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, the event is themed Redefining Leadership for a Sustainable Future.
Global Leadership Conclave is all about bringing leaders of diverse sector and field to come together to discuss on leadership in the age of disruption, innovation, resilience, and sustainability. Here we'll come together to discuss on the ever-disruptive world that we're in now and how leaders can stay resilient, can be innovative, and then build sustainably.
Speakers at the forum include Sir Victor Walsh, Mr. Tunji Udo, Dr. Patrick Uduma, Engineer Tony Obuigwe, and others. They emphasize the urgent need for transformational leadership that bridges the gap between policy, ethics, and enterprise, particularly in developing economies like Nigeria. Discussions also centered on equipping the next generation of leaders with global competencies, integrity-driven values, and digital-age problem-solving skills to drive inclusive economic growth.
Leadership is a topic that is very important for us as a nation and something that is very rare. The right type of leadership is not very common in our climate, and it's the wrong one that often hogs the limelight. So it's important that we're able to point to other models, other examples that have stood the test of time and that have helped other nations to get to where they are, and the kind of leadership we had before things went down in our nation, so that people, the young ones, can see alternatives and then they can be reset and redirected on the right path.
My presence here is to contribute to the conversation on leadership, starting with self-leadership. How can young people drive change in the society and in our environment? How can we influence positively the polity that we find ourselves? We are heading towards elections, in another 1 year. How can we make a significant impact in that system, in that process?
The conclave, holding at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs Auditorium, Kofu Abayomi Street, Victoria Island, features panel sessions, keynote addresses, and networking segments designed to strengthen collaboration between government institutions, private sector players, and civil society actors.
Yes, I think that these youth have the most amazing age, because not only have they found mentorship, they've also found role models, because I say that the quality of your mind determines the quality of your life. And the quality of information that they have can revolutionize their life, their family, and the entire nation.
Participants said the platform reflects a growing recognition and that effective leadership is the foundation of national progress and the international competitiveness. Oyinpriye Krumale, SOUQ News Television.
Well, thank you very much indeed. My name is Stephen Kola Balogun. I happen to be a lawyer, and should I call myself a pseudo-politician? Not quite a politician, but I've served in government before, and I'm delighted to be here. Well, thank you very much. Well, yes, is it my family or the wider family? I mean, like I said, I'm the son of Chief Dr. Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. like I said, he was a former politician, a frontline politician. He was the General Secretary of the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, later National Council of Nigerian Citizens. He was the General Secretary of that party for about 8 years. From there, he was appointed by SOUQ to become a federal minister. He was initially a federal minister without portfolio. Consequently, after that, he became acting minister for labor, social services, and then he became Nigeria's first federal minister for information in 1956. He held that portfolio to 1958. Thereafter, he resigned from government. He had disagreement with the party. And Tafawa Balewa felt that he was a useful politician that could be sent to Ghana. And he went to Ghana to find out what was. Ghana was a bit ahead of us in terms of politics at the time. I think it's fair to say they got independence just before us. And Tafawa Balewa wanted someone to understudy to find out what we're doing. So he sent Kola Balogun there. Initially, he was commissioner, and later, when we gained independence in 1960, he became high commissioner. Shortly after that, when we became independent, he yearned to come home. He wanted to take part in the new political atmosphere at the time. He asked the Prime Minister to relieve him, to let him come back, and he did come back home. And immediately he took up the position of being chairman of the National Shipping Line. That was a position he held on to until the military struck in 1966. But even then, when the military did strike in 1966, he still continued. I think General Debayo of blessed memory invited him to join his cabinet, and he served as a commissioner for about 3 years or more. I think he was commissioner for health and was commissioner for education. Later, he also became chairman of the sketch group of companies as well. And that was about it. I think after his stint in government, he decided to go and do a PhD at the University of Ibadan. And then he went back into private legal practice. And then he started this agitation for the creation of Osun State. He and a few others set up the movement. He was the chairman of the movement. And then to the glory of God, in 1991, Osun State was created. And that's it.
Tell us about mommy.
Well, yes, my mother. Well, in those days, the women were not so much in the forefront, But my mother has been my bedrock. She stood by me, and she has backed me in most of the things I've set out to do, And she's still alive. She's 89 this year, and she's still doing well, and she's still
and your wife
going
and
strong.
The kids?
Yes, my children. Yes, I have 3 girls, 3 daughters. My oldest is 31. She studied at King's College London. She did reasonably well. She got a 7th class upper. Proud of her. She's an art curator today. And I have twin girls as well who are also in university now, that they haven't graduated yet. One of them is in Oxford University. She's studying history and politics. And the other is in Cambridge University. She's studying human, social, and political sciences. So, yeah. I did. I mean, my father, Chief Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. Yes, he was in the first cabinet in the First Republic, the first ever cabinet Nigeria had, and he served as the Federal Minister of Information and Research. As a matter of fact, he happened to be Nigeria's first information minister. Later, T.O.S. Benson, of course, became the independent Nigeria's first information minister, but independent Nigeria. But Nigeria's first ever information minister happened to be Chief Kolawole Balogun of blessed memory. No, I didn't. I I took an opposite route from my father. My father went into politics immediately after he finished his education, and then he now ventured into law a little bit later. I decided to look at things differently. I thought that after academics I should practice law a bit, and that's what I've been doing. But at some point, I think that was in about 2011, I was called upon to serve in the Ocean State government as a commissioner, and I took up that opportunity, and I enjoyed myself. Well, I am in the sense that I'm 65 years old now, and I think it's fair to say that we belong to, well, I would say the first set, but one of those who benefited from Nigerian education. I schooled here. I went to secondary school in the West. I went to the University of Ife, went to the Nigerian Law School. And I think it's fair to say that all the schools at that time were of high quality, produced top quality students who went on to make names for themselves, not just here in Nigeria, but also abroad. I think we still do that now, even though the standard of education has dropped. The sad thing about it is that Nigeria could have been a lot better in terms of the potential, because Nigeria does have a lot of potential. We do have very brilliant young men and women, you know, and I just think that if we had invested more in education, that we could have, the sky would have been the limit, actually. Well, my take on this is that it's the system of law itself. As a young lawyer, I experienced a few challenges myself, and I think one of the obvious challenges is the appeal structure. It's too easy to appeal against judgments. At the same time, when you file actions in court, there are no penalties for costs. In other words, I can file a frivolous action. I could insult you, as an example, and then you could sue me, and I say to myself, well, I'm going to eke it out. I'm going to take it. You're going to have to take me all the way to the Supreme Court. That doesn't make sense. That's not fair. On the other hand, I could also file a frivolous application against you. And then filing a frivolous application, I could call you something you are not. I could defame you. And in so doing, you expect at least that once you prove your case, that I will be made to pay the penalties for filing frivolous applications. But that doesn't happen. And then, of course, the conditions of the judges. I mean, the judges are still writing longhand. They do trials, they sit there, they listen to witnesses, give evidence, and they have to write all these things down longhand. So there's so many challenges that has hampered the progress of law. And there hasn't been enough investment, I must say. Well, I agree with that, and I'm going to give an example as to how that I think we could possibly do that. Now, the Supreme Court hears everything. It's the final court in Nigeria, so they're going to hear issues related to criminal law, civil matters, constitutional matters, as you know, all these matters that's got to do with elections, and so on and so forth. As a matter of fact, when we have an election cycle, the legal system slows down because the judges are hampered. They're too busy listening to the various appeals from the various states and the federal government to do with the elections. So as a consequence, the other matters to deal with shipping, banking, criminal law are put on the back burner. I think we need what you call a constitutional court, whereby which the judges in the Supreme Court are divided. So you have those judges whose responsibility it is entirely to deal with constitutional matters, and then you have another set whose duty will be to deal with shipping, banking, civil matters, criminal matters, and so on and so forth. So I believe it's high time Nigeria has a constitutional court to try and aid the Supreme Court with the workload they have, which is, quite frankly, quite a bit. Well, Nigerians, with respect, are very brilliant, very intelligent, and they are very aware. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're a tailor, you're a driver, you're a lawyer, engineer, they are quite well informed. And the truth of the matter really is that this is the longest republic we've had. This republic started in 1999, and this is 2025, so 26 years. Nigeria's never had a republic this long. But the main flaw is the one you just mentioned. The fact that that constitution that was bequeathed to us by the military in 1999 was never really approved by the people. Now, that doesn't make sense, and that's unfair. In fairness, we ought to be able to look at the constitution, improve upon it, and put our own input into it. Now, there's a way around that, and I've always believed, many people oppose this, but I'm of the view that what Nigerians need to have is a referendum. Have a referendum to ask the Nigerian people whether they want to persist with the 1999 constitution, or do they want to draw up a new one. If the answer to that question is yes, we want to drop a new constitution, then that puts paid to the 1999 constitution, and then you can now have a system, a constituent assembly, whatever the case may be, where people will sit around the table and fashion out a new constitution. If the people say no, that means I've indirectly approved the 1999 constitution, and then we continue with it. But what we can't do is continue having this debate, these arguments as to whether the 1999 constitution has been approved by Nigerians or not, because it has not been. So I think the way around that is to ask the Nigerian people through a referendum, asking them whether they want to persist with this constitution. If they say no, then we have a new one. If they say yes, we continue with the old one. And that ends the debate. Every system has its merits. Every system has its advantages and disadvantages. To some extent, the presidential system of government has its advantage. It has the advantage in the sense that it has brought government nearer to the people. So the people of Osun, from where I'm from, for instance, now, have their own state. Same thing can be said, it's been replicated across the country. However, the drawbacks, the disadvantage is the fact that it's extremely expensive. Now, look at Nigeria, for instance, now. We have 36 state governments. So that means we have 36 governments in Nigeria. If you add the government of Abuja, if you add the federal government, that's 38. Now, each one of these governments have some form of legislature, judiciary, an executive as well, local government, civil service. It's too expensive. Look, in America, where we borrowed this system from, the states came together to form a union. This is totally different. We are doing it the opposite way. So we've had a structure that we're now going back. So at the end of the day, many of these state governments are still dependent on the federal government. And as a consequence, the kind of progress we ought to be making, we're not quite making it. So I personally, and this is a personal view because others would disagree, I would prefer that we reduce the size of government by having some kind of regional structure. And I believe that will reduce the burden of governments. And if we can reduce the burdens of government, we can use this money to do many other things. And I also think it will also improve standards as well. Not just standards of government or parliamentary standards or whatever the case may be, but there'll be less people involved in the political system. And that would help us a great deal. Well, I think it's fair to say that since 1999, we haven't had any new state creation. I know there's been agitation for the creation of states, but there hasn't been any. The process for creating a state is quite cumbersome. It's not easy. I think it's in Section 8 and 9 of the Constitution. I don't think it's something we should be looking at. I think, like I said to you earlier, I think we should be trying to reduce the number of states, and I think some kind of regional structure whereby which we can monitor better what's going on rather than having more states. So I personally would not encourage the creation of more states, no. the 1950s, we had 3 regions, if I'm correct. Those regions were the West, the East, and the North. We had the colony of Lagos, but if I'm right, I think it was the Macpherson Constitution, I think it is, I'm not too sure, that now put Lagos under the Western region. Now, when Lagos was placed under the Western region, lots of people were not happy about that. I remember my father was in the NCNC. The NCNC people were not particularly pleased, neither were the NPC, because they felt that Lagos belonged to everybody. Like you said, lots of people from different walks of life, different tribes, different backgrounds, and all schooled. I mean, Zik schooled in Lagos. He went to MBHS. So it was the issue was sent to London to arbitrate. I think it was Oliver Littleton that arbitrated over the matter, and it was decided that Lagos should stand on its own, that Lagos should not be merged with any of the regions, and that was how Lagos was able to free itself from the shackles of the Western region. It's fair to say that the position of the NCNC was actually argued in London by my father. That's why I'm quite familiar with this. But talking about Lagos, when the military, after that, we had what you called a minister for Lagos. I think there was Ribadu, and I think there was one other person, but I think it was Yaradua, not the same Yaradua, but his father. And then later after that, when the military struck, they created the state of Lagos. So the issue of giving Lagos special status has more or less been taken over by events. Lagos is a state, and as a state, it's still home to different people with different backgrounds, from different tribes, and it's thriving. I think it's fair to say that Lagos is probably the most prosperous state in the country, and it's just a question of its continuing with good governance and improving the strides they have made. Once again, let's go back to the past. We had what we used to call the House of Chiefs, wasn't it? And in those House of Chiefs, many of the members of the House of Chiefs were people, were traditional rulers, chiefs from different backgrounds, and they had a say in the running of the affairs of state. It's like it was more or less akin to the House of Lords. So it wasn't necessarily the chamber whereby which the activities of day-to-day governance took place, but they could always refer issues to them. And I think that if we change our structure of governance, and if, that's a big if, then yes, we can have something like that. We can have a second chamber, which is more or less advisory in nature, similar to the House of Lords, whereby which we will have obas and chiefs and people of influence who will be able to advise government from day to day from the experiences and the way forward, but not necessarily binding. I think that's important. Their decisions won't necessarily be binding on us, but at least they'll be able to share their views and experiences with the people. Well, that's a big issue. I was commissioner for youth in Osun about 10 years ago under Rauf Aregbesola, and it was an issue we took quite seriously. In Osun State, we had quite a number of youths who were unemployed, and the governor thought, what can I possibly do to give them something to do, to keep them employed? So he created what we call the Osun State Youth Empowerment Scheme. Now, under the State Youth Empowerment Scheme, unemployed youths were given particular tasks in state. Help us sweep the roads. Some were part-time lecturers. Some were doing all sorts of things. They were given a stipend. It wasn't a full-blown salary. Or the salary, although the stipend was enough to keep them to be able to buy things, to be able to buy themselves drinks and food, and kept them occupied until they could find themselves a job. And I think the federal government could follow that kind of scheme, set up a youth empowerment scheme whereby which unemployed youths are given things to do. There's so many things that need to be done in Nigeria. You know, there's so many gaps whereby which the youths can help do that. In the interim, while they find themselves something more gainful or something more permanent. So it's a question, it's for government to do. It's for government to think of a way of helping out the youths. And of course, there should be partnerships, a partnership between the government and private enterprise to try and encourage them to take on more of our youths, and not necessarily those who have schooled abroad, who they think are probably the best in terms of employment. No, we have many here who can do a good job as well. Sustaining democracy is about discipline. It's about the people being disciplined. It's about those who rule us being disciplined. I started out by telling you that this is the longest government we've had. It's the longest republic we've had. We've had democracy now since 1999, 26 years. If you go back to the days of independence, there's been no republic that has been this long. So it shows that the people have embraced democracy. They've come to it's part of us now. They've come to enjoy it. Yes,